I made this hat. That's why I'm wearing it.
You made that hat?
Yeah, I had it custom made. This is the USA Martial Arts logo. It's embroidered.
Who made that?
Brendan. You remember Brendan?
He makes everything.
He makes hats, shirts, stickers.
Zach told me to go get a decal for my YouTube or whatever for him.
Mm.
He said he can do it, so I might take him up on that offer. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk. I don't know. I think we're just gonna go straight to the martial arts. I think it's what the people wanted, so we're gonna go for it.
Yeah, at least for the time being. I know last week we went over just more or less the generic sense of some of our background and what we do and who we are. So I wanted to dive back into the martial arts just a little bit more and get a little bit more in depth on certain subjects. Some things that maybe some of you guys out there might actually be interested in hearing, or even if you guys are just curious and have questions of your own, maybe it'll solve those and answer those, or maybe it'll actually pose a new question. Maybe it was like, oh wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
So I figured it would be a good thing to just, dig a little bit deeper. And, once again, if everyone enjoys this, we could continue to do martial arts, but we could also do other things as well, which we more or less will probably do in the end anyways.
Yeah.
I know David wanted to bring up a subject, and I also have one of my own, and I think they might coincide. So I would have David's subject of pertaining to martial arts, of course, what it is and how we could discuss it and maybe shine some light on maybe just an idea or even just the subject in general, I guess.
Yeah, and there's kind of like a life lesson in each subject we talk about. It doesn't have to be just about the martial arts world. So if you're not interested in martial arts, that's okay, because in the message of what you might hear, it might actually bring some light to like what you may be going through. Who knows? So I didn't know if you wanted to start off with what your subject was, because I know you've been thinking about this kind of thing for a while.
I mean, I'm more than willing to have you, start just a generalized subject that pertains.
Such a nice guy.
I'm a giver. I'm a giver.
So I wanted to talk about humility. That's like, it's a good one. I honestly think it's probably not just like in martial arts, but in life, man.
Yeah.
It's something you gotta it's something you gotta take. You know where I learned it from? Not only did I learn it from karate in the beginning. There's a little secret. I learned it from my from getting in trouble a lot at home, because a lot of talking back as a kid, like doing the wrong things and I know what right and wrong, and if I do the wrong thing, I get my stuff taken away, and it's just like that's the foundation. And then karate, it was the fact that's like the reason why you gotta have humility is I feel like it's like an ego, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's people with the ego, and I was that guy with that ego. I'm gonna go right into saying it.
Okay.
And this is how the story begins. So I was a man I was arrogant, I was cocky. I had a big ego, right? So a lot of people said you were good. Like, oh, you're so good. You're really good. You're fast, you're strong. And I was like, thank you. And I let it get into my head. Sometimes I go into these tournaments, right? And this is full out truth, by the way. So I'm just putting it right on the table. Going to tournaments. You know what my mindset was? It was so bad. I hated it. It was, I was nervous. Don't get me wrong. I was so nervous. But at the end of the day, I was just like, oh, I knew I was going to win. And I hated that. It was just that mindset.
Yeah. And there's nothing really wrong with that, because I mean, it could also be considered confidence, and you're just overly confident. It doesn't need to be an ego or cockiness. It just means you're really sure about what you know. I mean, So even though you're pinning in a negative light, it doesn't need to always be considered that.
Yeah, I hear you. It's like, but I think what made it even, I think the way it affected me was growing up into the karate world. I kind of just, and being the type of individual I was with the way I was raised and everything and my lifestyle.
Yep.
I don't know why it got into my head, but I feel like it just kind of felt really good. It's like, oh, I'm great. I'm awesome. I'm perfect. And then I lost to in a sparring match. Just gonna cut right to the chase. I walked up, I did good in forms, I did good in weapons, and then sparring came. Sparring was always my top thing. I liked it all the time. I used to hate it, but then after a while, like I said, I got better at it, and then I grew, and then that's when ego came in. I took this punch to the eye because I had my hands down. I'm fighting like this for the people that can't see. I'm in like my fighting stance, but I'm jumping up and down, having my hands down. Those kind of so. I went in for the punch. He dodged it. Boom! Last point. That was the last point. I lost, and I never really. That was my first loss. I didn't know how to take it, and I developed this thing like every time I had to do this like performance afterwards, I always felt like, no, I gotta be better. No, I can't. I gotta be better than this. Like, and then it was just an ego thing came into place, and then I had an instructor that came up to me at one point recently, a couple months and months back, and was like, "Slow your roll. Know your experience, and keep pushing, and just swallow the pride, because you'll get a lot better that way mentally." And I didn't understand it at first, but now where I'm at, bowing out after martial arts, I feel like, wow, looking back at the things that how I acted, the things that I did, I felt like I really was pretty cocky, and I wish I had taken it back, but I'm just like, nobody's perfect, right?
No.
And I had to swallow my pride and be like, look, maybe I need to take a step back from martial arts to understand what the style is truly meant. Tang Soo Do. It's not just ground and pound style. It's an art, and to respect the art, you gotta respect the unit. You gotta respect it. Like, I don't know how much clearer I could be on that, but humility is a huge key factor, I think. But
yeah, no, I definitely agree, because I mean, I could honestly say that at one point I was getting overly confident. I would put it in those words. It'd be cocky, basically. It's the same thing, I guess. And I also feel that most people that do martial arts have a time and place when it does hit them, and it's our own job to throttle ourselves back.
Yeah.
I've also I find it in some of my students at times. And keep in mind, I've been teaching for a while, so I'm not naming anyone current or past, or it's just I've seen it. And I've had students where they would, they would hit around the mid-teenage ages.
Yep, that was the age.
It's around maybe right after puberty, between 13 and 16. It's like the prime time. All of a sudden, they realize they're stronger, they're faster.
They're like the next Bruce Lee.
Yeah, and if they started at a young age, more than likely they're probably a black belt or close to it. So they really are like, wow, for lack of a better terms, I could kick some ass. Yeah, okay, you could. Okay, yes, you can.
Yeah, you're aware of it.
Yeah, you're aware now. Doesn't mean that you should. In a tournament, if you're sparring, yes. I mean, obviously, that's what you're there for. You're there to compete, and I'm not going to use the term fighting, because it's a sparring match.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's a intense form of tag, but that's your time to shine. That's when you could actually let ego, if there is any, and that's fine to actually have an ego, because if you're a performer in any sort of the sense, you have to be somewhat of a show-off internally, and that's not a bad thing when you know how to control it.
Yeah.
So I tend to do that in tournaments, and the only thing is that when I'm kind of going off track of story here.
No, it's all good. No, you're good.
Basically,
they're here to listen.
Yeah, when my students tend to get like that, since I've been there, and I was really aware when I had to throttle myself back about me getting cocky about certain things, whether it's sparring or maybe I was really good at weapons, or or any of the subjects in karate could do.
Love that sword. Ugh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I love that sword.
Yeah, so it could go with anything. So when I see my students get into that mode, and you can see it coming, and you can see how they carry themselves. Not always bad, but you can see it in the way they carry themselves and the way they talk. Sometimes they might be kind of a bully in class sometimes.
Okay.
It's not their fault. It's just them thinking. Obviously, it goes to their head, and it's just a natural thing. So I don't yell at them for it, but I would guide them. I'd be like, hey, this is how to control this, because not saying you're not supposed to be confident, but don't let it go to your head too much.
Yeah.
And you just gotta know it's just another thing in your arsenal that you have to learn how to control. When it comes to martial arts, you're learning so much how to do stuff physically, but mentally it adds stuff to it too. So once you get something like that, you have to know how to control it too. So you do need guidance. Unfortunately, some of us don't get it. I'm not gonna say that I didn't, but I know that I throttled myself back. And it wasn't really until I noticed the repercussions of what could happen if I didn't.
Sheesh.
Yeah, and I know I'm kind of talking a lot, so I apologize.
No, dude, you're good. I'm here.
But I was really good at sparring around that time period between, I would say, 13 and 16. Maybe I'll make it a little bit broader, around 12 to 17.
Man, that's the prime though of that vibe.
Yeah. And at that point, I was already a black belt, so for me, I was already. Everything slowed down. It took longer between gradings for me to move up to the next step. So there was a lot of material learned, but I learned it quick, and then there was just a lot of time to do whatever I wanted. So I decided. I decided.
Oh no! You've been tongue twisted. Oh no!
So I decided to focus on sparring. Now, picture this: before this time, I was not good at sparring. I did not like sparring. It was actually my least favorite subject besides breaking boards.
Yeah, love that.
And I wouldn't say I was afraid, but to give an example, yeah, I was probably afraid of getting hurt in sparring. Just like in breaking, I was afraid of breaking an arm or breaking this, and I was young. So there was risk, and risk was, there's a big reward if you do it, but I really had to get over that fear internally. So around those years, I tended to try to start sparring more. I made myself I tried to get over a fear that I didn't know I had internally until I actually conquered it. And once I conquered it, I was good at it. I tended to do it a lot. I like to do it in tournaments. But the problem was, and this is where it relates to the subject of the humility part, because I know I'm over explaining this part, but I was very aggressive because before this time, I was extremely defensive, kind of timid in it, so I would always wait for them to do the attack before I would do something.
Oh my, yes. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no,
yes, no. Dude, there's so many times. I would be like, okay, what you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Sorry, I stepped on your shoe. Sorry, I stepped on your shoe. I literally stepped on his shoe, IRL. But I'll be like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And I'll wait for the kick. But sometimes that would screw me over because there would be a nice little front kick. I love fighting the tall people. I'm 5'5", but I love fighting the tall people because it makes me a better fighter that way. But there's this one dude, he coming for the side kick, first sparring match, whoop, whoop, round kick to the face. I'm like, I'm like, okay. All right, maybe I should attack more. But even then, go ahead, keep going.
So,
just a funny little moment I had. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's definitely I get it. But I tended to be aggressive, and like I said, it was the total opposite of who I was before. So I kind of did flip the table, turn them around type of thing, and I realized that at moments, and a teenager, we've all been there. You tend to have I don't know, anger issues, I guess you could say, or some type of issue,
or something,
or something. It could be anything. There. So I had a small little bit of an attitude that started to come out with the cockiness, and that would sometimes show through in sparring. And since I was an aggressive fighter, it masked itself very well. But if I got hit hard enough, it would kind of turn a switch on. And I know a lot of martial artists have experienced the whole. Not a blacking out, because I don't want to use that term.
Tunnel vision? The tunnel vision,
but it's
right?
like I like to call it the tunnel vision effect, where...
Are you in the heat of the fight?
You're in the heat of the fight, and you don't really know what's happening. You just did it.
That's oh my gosh. It's either you are in sync and you're in your zone, tunnel vision, or you are blacking out because you are super mad.
Mm-hmm.
It's there.
So that's when I first experienced that. And it makes you feel like you're on top of the world sometimes, depending on the scenario that you're in. The only problem is every once in a while I would find that I would hurt people, and it was unintentional, or it was in the heat of the moment and I got really mad and I took it out on the person. That's even though I had instructors there telling me to, hey, calm down, you don't need to do that. They did it in a nice, generous way where I wasn't punished for it. I found that I wanted to throttle myself back, because a lot of people that I was sparring at the time, this was in mid-class, and I might have been hurting them, and these are my friends. So
yeah, seriously,
yeah,
that just I didn't even think of it like that. That's crazy. Yeah. Wow. And
it was in class. So in a tournament, it's different, and I'm not trying to say you can't be friendly to your competitors. Obviously, you do, but competition is a different scenario than a class. Classes is for learning. Tournaments is to show off what you've learned and to show how you're better than your opponent. So I had to throttle myself back a little bit, and I had to humble myself. It kind of slowed me down in the sense of me trying to control myself was hard enough. On top of me trying to grow in a certain subject that I wasn't good at. So I was throttling myself back as I was trying to push myself forward. So it's like a fine line of slow movement up instead of like one or the other. Because I knew if I just let myself go and I went with the whole aggressive fighter route, that I would get stuck in it and I won't be able to pull myself out of it. But that's just my experience. Everyone else might be different, but I'm sure
everybody has their own.
Everyone has their own, and some people have similar. But that's mine to say. For humility, that was the biggest one that I can remember around that time and age of teenager. Yeah,
I just find it like the humility, it's like taking the L. It's like if you're in an argument, or if it's just sometimes, some people are so wanting to be right, that they will twist and change something because they don't want to take that L. Because it's just something about saying I'm sorry to some people, or like I didn't want to say I'm sorry to this instructor one time. I was 12. I was a kid, but like I really did him wrong. We were doing sparring, and I thought it'd be fun to sweep him. So I did it, and it tripped him. And I laughed, and I was like, "But we were having fun." I didn't want to let it go. I was like, "Yes, sir." But even then, stuff like that, get in trouble, losing tournaments. It's like you gotta learn to just take the L, because it's gonna make you look so much better. You really achieve something when you take that L. It sucks when you start doing it too. By the way, when you start when you lose, you can handle it any way you want, like in private, whatever. Do whatever you want to do. Be logical about it. I'm gonna say right now, be logical on how you handle it. But in public, somebody's reprimanding you, someone's like yelling at you, and it just feels like it's so out of line for them. You just gotta take a deep breath and just be like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir." Plenty of times I was fooling around in karate, messing around. I got drop push-ups. Yes, sir. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm the one that's the best. How am I getting in trouble?" That was my mindset. That was my mindset. And I'm like, that just makes it. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
I just feel like when I was looking at it, like when I was doing those push-ups, I came up crying, and he looks at me and he goes, "Why are you crying?" I go, "Because I didn't want to do push-ups. I'm supposed to be better." And he was like, "Well, prove it to me next time. And by the way, we're all equal here." And I was like, "Yes, sir." So it's just things like that. It doesn't matter the belt. We just all grow together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, there is no in the karate world, it's like martial arts world, whatever place you go to, you're representing a place that you train at. So if people see what you do, it's like, wow, I see them acting like this. Is this how they all are? You got to represent too. It's all about representation. It's like, for example, and I felt horrible about this. And sorry, I'm talking long.
No, that's fine.
I talked to somebody. I had I was having a bad day, and I was talking to somebody that was like a mutual friend that I had no idea about. I was kind of being a jerk to them, and my brother texted me saying that he knew the person, and he was like, "Hey, man, like your brother wasn't really cool about like the way he talked to me." I was like, "Oh crap, I'm sorry." You know what I mean? It's like you never know who you're gonna walk into, talk to, run into, but it's just sometimes you just gotta swallow your freaking pride. I don't know how many times I can say that.
Yeah.
But listen, we're going into your subject in a second, right?
Yeah, no rush.
Okay. Because I was just gonna say, like, my closing statement on this one,
Mm-hmm.
like, for anybody. Oh no, hold on. I thought the audio was messing up. That's fine. It's okay. For the people that we were looking at our monitor because we were thinking that there's an audio glitch. We're good. We're all good. Look at, if there's anybody that you you'll grow if you just take the L. Trust me. If you're wrong, just take the L. All right, you grow that way, and it may suck over time, but like sometimes that loss is something you need to win something later. All right, so that's what I gotta say. And to my boy over here, go.
For the next subject?
Yeah, for the next subject.
Okay, let me clarify that. I thought you were waiting for a closing statement out of me.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead, you're good to talk.
Okay, so the next thing I wanted to go into, just because I saw something about it earlier today, actually, and it posed a question in my head, and I figured maybe someone else has input on it, or maybe I could try to shine some light on it if I'm just kidding. Mention it, you know.
I was raising my hand.
So tournaments, right? This could be generic, or it could be martial arts. I'm gonna take the martial arts approach on it because that's the way I'm referring to it. But it could be taken any sort of the way, right? So that way everyone could be a part of this. But once again, it's from a martial arts approach, so the questions might be a little tailored towards that. But the main question was, well, there's actually three. Tournaments, right?
Okay.
So we have martial arts tournaments. I read something about, let me start in reverse here, because I'm reading it backwards. But some people say that tournaments could be a form of meditation. And I read that.
I can see that.
And it's something I never really thought of, because it's a different take on my thoughts of what a tournament is. It makes sense, but how does it make sense? So that's a question to you, and then I'm going to try to give my best answer as well.
Meditation?
Yeah, why would it be considered like a meditation or a meditative thing to do?
I think because when pressure is all on there, it's like the only thing you can do is just breathe and focus and concentrate. When you have something in front of you that's a not promised goal, but shown in your face that if you do this, you can get that. And it's kind of, I want to say, kind of peaceful, but chaotic at the same time, because when everything's chaotic, when you're, I will say, on deck, when you're on deck, that's when the chaos hits. But
Agreed.
This is the moment, right? You're there. You're about to be called up. David Massey, yes sir, yes ma'am. Your eyes flick, and it's like this. I am a different person. I am not that person that when I walked in the building. I am a completely different person right now. I am this guy that is going to perform my ass off. And then right when I finish and go back in Chumbi, I chitty up, I bow, boom, I'm back to myself. I'm relaxed. I did it. It's all that adrenaline, all that focus, all that concentration. It's something that you would normally do in a meditative state. You would just sit there on knees or on crisscross applesauce, and you would just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, people have that ultimate meditation. You gotta have that focus, concentration. I think that's where my version of it is. And I like it.
Yeah, I agree. I guess to take a slightly different approach, because I agree with yours.
Yeah.
And you worded it different
that.
than I would. Yeah, because I agree with that. But I'm not even gonna say but, because that's definitely it. But a different way to say it, or maybe a different way from my point of view, I guess.
Okay.
It is more or less, it's kind of the same thing as yours. So just to give everyone that heads up here, because it's kind of the same. But okay, so
you're good.
For me, at least, when I go into a tournament, and I always get very nervous. It really depends on the tournament, but I'm usually nervous. So it's almost like a workout internally. I get this buildup of pressure, just like he said. Yes, you feel it in your chest. You might even be a little bit shaky. Like, it's almost anxiety, but it's not. It's a different form of anxiety. It's like excitement, but terror.
It's like you're ready.
It's excitement and terror at the same time. You're scared and you're happy. And
sometimes
you're more or less, you're like, I just want to do this. You want to get over with. And then, yeah. And then the buildup happens. And like you said, until you're next, and then they call you up to do whatever you're supposed to do. You kind of just let it out, and you almost tunnel vision.
I'm feeling
like
it
the
now.
sparring.
I want to sit there. Like I want to do it. It's just that's the fire you feel.
Yeah,
Ooh.
And then in the end, you go back, for me, martial arts wise, you go back to Chunbi, which is our attention stance, and then you bow, which is like our sign of I'm done. You do feel relief. You don't feel 100% relief yet until the verdict of whoever places and who gets what. But once that's all done and you're done with the ring or whatever you're supposed to be doing, you just feel like this ultimate sense of bliss. It's like I'm trying to give a good analogy here. Imagine you're scared of roller coasters, right?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Imagine you're scared of roller coasters and someone's like, hey, go on this roller coaster with me, whether it's a friend or whomever, right?
Yep.
You're like, oh, I really don't want to. But you don't want to look, you don't want to look scared, okay? We'll just say that.
Here we go.
So you go on it, and you kind of like it because it's like an adrenaline rush. It's like, for the people that feed off of that stuff, it's like, ooh, wow, this feels nice. Like I'm doing something that scares me, right?
Yeah.
And then the drop happens, which is usually the worst part. I would kind of consider that like the on deck part of the roller coaster, because you're about to go into whatever you're doing. Once you're on it, it's enjoyable. Like if we were to do a form or something, you're doing it, you're kind of just letting it out, you're releasing that pressure, and then at the end you feel great, right? So for people that do that stuff, you kind of know the feeling. It's like, wow, that was cool. But at the beginning you wouldn't have said that. You wouldn't be like, that's not cool. Because you're scared or excited at the same time. It's an adrenaline boost. So I find that almost meditative. I hope I said that right.
Well, they'll let us know. I know somebody that will tell me.
Someone's gonna put the spell check. You misspelled it, sir.
It's like, oh, thanks, comment. I'll pin you for that.
So, yeah, it feels like meditation, because if we were to do the traditional form of, like he said, what people would think meditation, your you're sitting there. That could be actually stressful too, whatever they're doing. I'm not gonna assume what they're doing, because I tried it once and it worked, but I'm not knowledgeable in that field, okay? So I'm not gonna say more on that, but it works the same way. You feel great. It gives you like good internal feelings. So on and so forth. I could keep saying the same thing over and over, but besides that, it's just a great feeling, I guess.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a nice little fire in the heart. I mean, sure, it makes the heart pump like 9 times faster, but like at the end of the day, it's. Did you ever? Okay, I gotta get in on this real quick. After that, after the adrenaline hits with you, and I mean this, like your heart. I can't explain it. Can anybody like let us know how you feel in the comment section about this, especially in SoundCloud? Everybody that's listening. whoever's done a sport or anything like presenting a class, or presenting whatever, what you're presenting to something, and that heart goes, and then when you're done, when do you feel that like immediately stop? Because I feel like afterwards, my heart just feels normal, but I don't know when that moment stopped. I just feel like it just kind of happened.
It just disappeared.
Yeah, like that's how I feel after the.
You can't find the climax and the relax part.
Yeah.
It's just there's like an in between where it's forgotten. Maybe it's relief.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is. But
probably.
It's like also like
it's like a high, I guess, like a certain high, like the adrenaline rush, I guess.
And then it just disappears. It's almost like, and the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because I actually had this question pop into my head recently. You know when you're sick?
Yes.
And then you know when you're not sick. Do you know when the in between happens?
What? No.
Just think about it. Like you know you're sick, you're coughing, sneezing, whatever, and then you know when you're completely done with the cold, but the in between, do you really notice it?
I can feel
because you're either sick or you're not.
You're like this.
You're never like I'm done with it or I'm almost done. I have one day left. It's just on or off.
I never even thought that.
And I know it's such a random thing to bring up, but that popped into my head because recently I had a cold and I was thinking about it. I was like, wow, I was sick. Now I'm not, but when did it end? It was just yes and no.
That's bothering me now.
And it kind of, yeah, it was eating at me a little bit. So, yeah, another thing. It's all kind of the same idea, just different ways to look at it.
I'm making that an Insta reel. That whole thing, what you just said. I'm gonna reel that in.
See what people say. I'm really curious. I'm sure there's a scientific thing about it, but you know,
that tripped me out. I'm like really thinking about that because it really is like that. What the heck? What's the next question?
Okay,
before
so
I die?
This is all about. This is still pertaining to the tournament subject, but there was, like I said, 3 questions. So that was 1 down. 2. I'm gonna say this in a karate sense of the question because I don't know any other ways to put it, but was a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
How does it help? Like, I'm not talking about physically because we kind of went over the whole physically meditation part.
It seems vague though. How does it help?
How does it help? Okay, let me put it into these words. How does it help a martial artist on their journey?
Okay.
Let's say it like that.
Well, every journey has a goal.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a. Think of it like life is a movie. You got character, you got the setting, you got the plot, and then you got hopefully a good ending.
Mm-hmm.
My journey, like we're talking about, like what, like
this is just a generic question, not a personalized.
Like from white belt to black belt.
This is like if, for example, let's just say you're doing martial arts, and your school, and I'm saying this as because some schools may do it, some schools may not. Let's just say the school's like, hey, we would like you to do at least 1 tournament a year on your journey up to black belt, or a certain amount of tournaments to get your black belt. Just kind of like a feat, like something to achieve to get to the next step to grow.
Got you. Yeah.
So how does it help you basically grow? How does it enhance your learning?
I see. When I think I was pretty, like, I was a pretty person back then. I was pretty focused as a white belt. I really wanted to just achieve something. I think I'm slightly a perfectionist, and I will be honest, I'm a slight perfectionist. But I know like nothing is perfect, obviously. But when it came to me at the time, as a white belt, I think focusing on, like it's like school for some people, the best way I can say it. Man, I really want to pass this class. I really want to get my next belt. Maybe if I do the homework and study in class, maybe if I practice my forms in the self-defense, I can actually see I'm putting 2 and 2 together, the 1 and 1s and whatever, the 1 and 1, and each work the same. They're both similar. And I think it was really cool for me learning new stuff. I loved it. I love the fact that like I was able to learn why does this move do this? Why does this move do this? Pyongyang Idon for some people. Oh my gosh, originally for us, or there's Seikyeong Ilbu or Kichoyoung Ibu for some people, you know?
Yep.
So, like, I wanted to know the language behind it, what this is, what that is. And I think knowing more within that belt frame, white to orange, orange to yellow, I felt like I was just, to me, I just knew I was getting better. And I think as I got older on my journey, I realized not only am I learning these forms, but I am developing these muscle skills, these fast reaction drills. I'm learning how to remember. Like, I'm learning how to multitask. I'm learning my left from my right. I'm learning how to jump. I'm learning how to roll. I'm learning how to block. I'm learning how to look and keep aware of my surroundings if I'm ever in a dark alley or something like that, if that ever happened. I'm just saying, like, I think on my journey, I felt like now the buildup happens. Now I feel like, okay, oh crap, like, look at this. I'm sitting at, like, I'm 22 at the time. I'm looking at 22. I'm like, oh my God, this martial arts taught me a lot about discipline, a lot about taking the L, a lot about going for the goal that you want to get. If you see it, it's possible. If I was a white belt and I was going to be getting an orange belt, it's possible, right?
Yeah.
Just got to put in the work. There it is. That's my answer. I think that's what it is. Just the knowledge of me knowing something new. You know what I mean? That's what gets me.
So how would that pertain to a tournament? Would you say that because you would, let's just say you were to go to a tournament as a white belt and each belt all the way up?
Okay.
Would you say it helps reinforce the teachings?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe it, absolutely, because not only you're not just there to perform just for the judges or anybody else. You're performing for yourself. You are trying to prove to yourself that you did better than the last time. So it's almost like I'm not going to look at a black belt do the first form dramatically bad. I would hope that I would see a black belt do the first form as a black belt should. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if I'm a white belt and I do Kichang Ilbu and I look like bad, I look bad, like I can't even do it, then I gotta go to the next tournament with, like, I gotta look better than that, man. Because the results, man, I gotta put in that work. Because it's just, in tournaments, it's like a test. At school, taking a test, it's literally a test. Like, oh wow, how did I fail? Looks like I didn't, well, the teacher says I didn't study hard enough. What? How did I not get my next belt? How did I not get my trophy? Well, it looks like you got kicked in the face and you couldn't hold your kick on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that. I think it's a lot of growth within the art itself. Like, you're evolving, and it won't happen. Nothing happens overnight.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna start thinking stuff as time goes on. You're gonna start saying, "Oh snap!" It took me until I was 22 years old to realize, "Oh snap! This is trying to teach me humility." You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that. That's why I think the journey is so important.
Yeah, and it kind of reinforced the first subject that was brought up with humility too. My take on it is, you know, it works with yours, because I feel like tournaments, you know, why should you do it, and how does it help, right? That's what we're going based off of. How does it help? Like I said, it reinforces everything you learn, in my opinion. So even if you didn't know a lot, it tests your own ability to let you know where you stand, basically. So even if you're a white belt and everyone's a beginner and you're in a tournament and you're doing forms and you guys are all the same belt, you're doing the basic form. Let's just say you guys actually did the exact same form. That doesn't always happen, but if that was to be true, right? And you're competing, and then you obviously have to get placed, like who was better than the other person. That placement is kind of telling you how you fare in your knowledge based off of what you learned.
Yep. Because
if that's what you're saying, I know the most, like, let's just say I did Form 1, whatever Form 1 it could be. It could be your style Form 1. It could be any style's Form 1. This is probably your first form. I went against everyone else that did the same form, and I got third. Okay, well, I knew that. I picked that form because that was my best form. Obviously, I am not the best because I got third, but
you could be.
It doesn't mean that I can't be.
Right.
Because let's just say you excel in class and you're doing great and you do that form the best in your school or in that class at the very least, and you compete with it and you still don't get first. It doesn't mean that you're bad at all. It just means that there is better people out there.
All of these things, humility, respect, all that stuff. It's all stacking.
It's stacking onto each other.
This is it.
And it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Once again, you don't need to get upset. You don't need to get mad.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to lower your pride and be humble about it. But it will make sure it gives you a goal, because before you couldn't see it because you're already maxed out in what you could see beforehand. If you never did a tournament, you're never gonna know what you could be.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that even in my school or even in my style, if I was to go to an open tournament where there's everything and I'm competing against a style I've never seen before and they beat me, obviously they know something that I don't. And that's obvious because it's a different style, but they did something that the judges preferred or thought was better than what I could do.
Yeah.
And I would have never known that unless I tried to do it. Which makes me want to do it, because that's going to help me with my growth, because I thought I was already up here when in reality there was a person right here, and if you can't see my hands, it's just like this person's higher than me and then I'm right below him. I thought I was all the way up on top, just one step ahead or another step ahead of that, and I haven't seen that step yet. So stuff that you don't really realize until you see it, and that's why it's good to have an open mind and go to these things. Even if you don't compete, you just got to look at it. You just got to witness it sometimes.
Like, even then, when you have yourself record, by the way, if you can. If you want to know where you're at, watch your form. Watch that. Yeah, I don't know. I think I decided to privately watch my own form. It was Usankun, and it's a long form in the Tangsudo world, and 60 something techniques in it. And I'm doing it. I'm looking at the video. I'm like, wow, this is crap. This is garbage. What the heck? So I look and I look back and I just feel like, I really did that at the tournament? No wonder I got placed the way I did.
Yep.
And then I'm like, all right, well, let's make sure that doesn't happen again.
I can honestly say that the exact same thing happened to me in the last tournament I did. I did the exact same form as him. We have different variances, but it's the same form. And it was an open tournament, so I was going against all styles, and I placed well in the last few.
You did Kusan-kun recently?
This last one, yes.
The one that I did?
No, this is the one that.
Or the one you went to
This one was in Rhode Island. This one was in Rhode Island.
Oh, good for you.
So I did that form, and it was a big category. There was around 5 or 6 people. Different styles. We had some Japanese styles. I don't know what style they were. There was actually Kung Fu in there mixed in, and there was a few Tangsudos. So some that were familiar to me.
Is the sorry to cut you off real quick. Is the Kenpo? Those guys are the ones that go like this, and they're like really quick on their hands.
It looked like that. It was possibly that style.
It's so quick. They're like.
It looks very nice. It's its
so
own.
Good. So beautiful.
If they can master that, it's its own style in itself. It's something that
I
can't do it because I'm not taught that.
So. A 9-year-old was kicking back and go, "Aya!" I was like, this kid's crazy.
Yep.
It was awesome. But go ahead. Sorry.
So I did the same exact form as him, and I had someone record me because I've never seen myself compete in an open tournament. I think you recorded me one time, but the kick that I actually did really good got blurred out on everyone's camera. It's crazy, but
it's just too perfect to be seen, man.
So I did the form. I watched everyone else's form. It's exactly how I remembered it because at this point I was on deck. So boom, boom, boom. My vision is literally a little bit blurred. So I'm about to compete. I compete, and I kind of tunnel vision because all the adrenaline is finally being released. Sometimes you actually can't see that well. But from my knowing, I did the form to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
Later on, when I calmed down, had a clear head, clear vision, I saw the video. And I looked at it. And keep in mind, I didn't place the best. I wasn't the worst. I wasn't the best. I was kind of mid-range. I don't remember exactly what I placed, but could have been better. I watched my video. And then I was like, wait, how did I rank, or how did I get this place compared to this person? Like, why? And then I watched the form, and I realized, I was like, wow, it looked a lot different in my head. I thought it looked way better. I saw a lot of faults in my own form, you know, because I don't watch myself do forms. I don't have a mirror that's big enough where I could see my whole form being done. So after seeing that, I was like, wow, I should have done this kick better. I should have had a deeper stance here. I shouldn't have wiggled here when I placed my landing, whatever move it was.
Yeah, it's that shoulda, woulda, coulda method.
Yeah, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
so if I did this, this, and this, I would have done better. So I didn't feel like it did my best. Doesn't mean I can't try better, because now I know what to look for. But yeah, that's that. So just to give you my side on that. And then the last part of the question, which was, it's super generic, but it's just something I put together, so keep in mind.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
Why is competing in a tournament important? Why is it important overall? In my opinion, just because, honestly, I don't even think I need to say it. Because if you guys listen to everything we just said, how it all coincidentally just stacked on each other and meshed, that was not on purpose,
That
guys.
was not planned.
We did not plan it. What I like to say is, when we do these podcasts here, we never really plan it. We just plan certain things to ask. Everything else just flows.
Yeah.
So the fact that everything else just kind of stacked on each other and actually related to each other when it wasn't intended to.
Felt like I was at a church service. Like
Yeah, we just like solved the problem, a word problem that we didn't even have the answers to, nor did we have like the actual
we just
ability to do so.
I love it. We just did it.
So why is it important? Teaches humility. It humbles. It helps your journey. It opens your eyes. That way it can help you grow. There's so many things. It also keeps you physically fit. I also wanted to mention that because I know I didn't touch on it, but sometimes when you go through those times where, oh, I don't feel like I'm having a challenge. Let's just say you hit that point. You don't have a challenge. There's no point to train harder, because why are you going to train harder if there's no challenge already? Sometimes you need to do tournaments to test that.
Yeah.
And that's going to make you push harder, because you're going to get physically fixed. You're going to be like, wow, I'm not as fast. Oh, my stances aren't as good. Let me work on my squats. Let me get deeper in my stances. Let me do this. Let me do that. You overall will be healthier, and you kind of form your own self. It all together, as in meditation, you kind of build yourself internally and externally, physically, mentally.
You know who I think would be really good at martial arts? And I think this is a perfect example. You ever heard of a gym rat?
Yeah.
So these are these guys, right? They go in, and it's almost like they're training for that, like holding that the bell, or what is it? Like the bench press for like 5 seconds, and they lift. Then they drop it. It's like they are heavy. They are dedicated. They go to it. And then I've seen these gym rats, and they're huge. And I'm like, I'm gonna promote martial arts real quick to these guys that are buff and look like The Rock. Look it. I think you could develop so much from that. I'm just saying, because these are these big guys who have almost more than perfect bodies. I'm just saying, and these guys train to the T. And they're bigger than this panda bear right here that I have over here. But like the point is, like, these guys can imagine a really athletic. Imagine sparring a gym rat, and then you get kicked in the head by him. Like, but the guy has control. He'll develop that control from the style. And the reason I say that you guys should definitely do it, I don't think lifting weights, in my opinion, is as difficult as performing a form. Because if you give it your all with that type of relaxation, and if you know that method, strong and then relax at the end kind of deal, if you just have that kind of method, do Kusan-kun, and then tell me how the arms feel, keeping those arms up, because I feel like, you know, they're so busy lifting the weights. Maybe a new type of method to help them. You know what I mean? Like, there's different ways, different things in the martial arts world that can benefit them.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, martial arts is a journey for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter.
And to be honest, that could go both ways too, because if we went to heavy weightlifting, it's going to teach us a lot more muscle control than
Oh my
martial
god,
arts
yeah,
taught
it
us
would just vice versa. It would switch.
Like if you could do both at the same time, you're basically Captain America. I mean, you're a superhuman then, because if you have the power and then you learn the speed of karate while contracting and relaxing your muscles at the same time.
Board breaking would be phenomenal for them.
Board breaking would be phenomenal.
Oh my god.
Forms would be so tight.
Boom, boom.
Sparring, you'd be kind of feared because
you'll like
that's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
And
please be gentle giants. If we spar, please be gentle giants.
There's a lot to it, and I feel like it's like just like anything, because there's also a lot of people that mixed gymnastics with martial arts, and look what that turned into. For those that don't know, extreme martial arts, or XMA, basically was originated from the mixture of gymnastics with martial arts, and from that you got tricking.
I did not know that.
That's why you're gainers.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Technically, a gainer's like it's a form of a flip. That was I'm not gonna say it was a gymnastic thing, but it was based off of that. If it wasn't,
yeah,
the flips and the tumbles and
the
all that stuff.
The butterfly kick too.
The butterfly kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those things that was two things combined, and then it turned into this. And you know what's crazy about that? The gymnastics and karate, right? That created XMA. XMA is considered the new traditional version of an open style of doing forms, an open style of doing weapons, and honestly sometimes a little bit of board breaking, because a lot of people incorporate it in there. So at one point they were separate. You combine the two, it's almost a new normal.
Yeah.
It just turned into an extra thing to add into an arsenal that could actually help martial artists together grow. It also gives diversity, when before it was traditional, nice and tight, very strong, very stiff. You added more flexibility to it.
Very formal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now imagine adding more flexibility into it. Flips. And a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people that didn't do martial arts or never did it, or have like the, stereotypical thought of it. A lot of people are like, oh, wow, you do karate? You could do a backflip? You could run on walls? You could do this, and that? You could jump 20 feet? Yeah, I've heard it all. Trust me.
I was like looking at you. I was like, you've heard it too?
Yeah, that's the first question they say. Oh, you do karate? Show me how to do a flip. It's like, well, I don't know how to.
You get that question? I get you do karate? Oh, so what would happen if I'm like, dude.
And you also get that question too. You're like, oh, so what if I was to do this to you right now? It's like, well, I feel uncomfortable you just asking me that.
Oh my God.
First of all, because now is that a threat?
Listen to this one real quick. Ready? Mm-hmm. I'll let you finish in 1 second. It's real quick. This guy was like, I was teaching a Krav Maga class.
Yes.
And we were talking about the bullets and everything and the gun. Someone was like, well, what would happen? Like, I don't know, man. Like, what would happen if I shot you 5 feet away? Be like, well, I bite the bullet and spit it back. And I'm like, he's like, what? And he's like, if you shoot me, I die. First off, like, if you shoot me, you kept your distance, bravo, and you killed me. You're a murderer, good job. But now it's like, what happens to you? You go to jail. That's it. That's the defense. I'm dead. I got nothing else to say. People ask me the dumbest questions.
Sometimes the defense is not, well, it's not to get in the predicament.
Nah.
And then after that, it's your options go from this to this to this to this. Eventually, you might have one option. If it doesn't work, then that's it.
Yeah, some people think of, like, look at us like superheroes. This brings the humility, by the way. You're not a superhero. Just because you see it in the movies doesn't mean it can actually happen. I just want to make that clear. Sometimes you just look at one of my friends was robbed. He's a guy in jiu-jitsu, strong boy, like 6'2", Batman, jiu-jitsu, almost a black belt. God bless him. And this guy was getting robbed by a guy shorter than him. My guy could have decimated him, but it didn't matter because he had a gun. The guy was like, it was at the bank. It was out of Wells Fargo. And it was just late at night. Robbed him. And I was like, why didn't you, like, do your martial arts? And he was like, a gun, man. I'm not going to risk that. I don't care how big I am. I don't want to take a bullet. And I'm like, yeah, seriously. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah. Sometimes when it comes to martial arts, especially when there's a gun involved,
swallow the pride.
Yeah. Unless there's only one option where it's you do something or die, and
my $20 is more valuable than my life.
Well, I say this with a grain of salt because this is a very serious thing to say.
Yeah, I know.
But my opinion on it is like, for example, if you're getting robbed and you're at gunpoint and he's very close to you, it's a 50-50 chance you're gonna live. Like, let's just say,
yeah,
the gun it says pointed to something vital, where if you pull the trigger, you die, right? Just do what the person says. Honestly, just try to get out of it the way any victim would. Play innocent. Play like you don't know anything.
Yeah, it's hard to be in those scenarios. Like,
yeah.
Because we can't sit here and say what we would do or what we would... Because it's like, we've been taught...
I don't know either.
I can't tell you how many times, like, I've learned over, I don't know, 75 different combos in the martial arts world of sparring.
Mm-hmm.
I do 3. So, I do 3. But I do it in my own way. And it's just like, everybody has their own arsenal. Everybody has their own what if, different ways. It's just, just be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, and if you have to do something, just know that there's a risk with it. So you have to think everything through. That's all.
Was there another question? Or was that it?
That was basically all the subjects I had.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's crazy how it kind of just stacked onto each other, like one after the other after the other.
Yeah. I guess that means it works.
Yeah, it just worked out. Hello, try martial arts. We insist. I mean, everybody has their crafts. Some people do blacksmithing, some people do archery, people do axe throwing. I mean, people pottery. Anything is a hobby. There's a passion, there's a dream. Whatever gives you that dedication and motivation to keep going forward. I don't have any more liquids to swallow. I've got no water. But just know your path. Know your ego level. And always be kind, all right? That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
But martial arts definitely, tournaments, martial arts definitely helped me evolve. Because there's a lot of people that are better than me and still better than me. And, by the way, I wanted to close in on that. I don't really care who's better than me. I just want to be better than my damn self that I was last tournament.
Yep.
At this point, it's just like, how can I block the next person? I'm not even going to look at the person as like this. It's just, we're in my, when I'm sparring this individual, I'm looking at them like, all right, what can I do to best this? What can I do to best myself? How can I close the distance? No offense to the people that I'm sparring, but once they say see jock, which means go, you're a bag. You're a bag with, I will obviously hit with control. That's what I was taught.
Yeah,
but hear me, you're a target. It's what I'm saying. Like, you are, what one instructor told me, when you're in there, you hate each other, but you're brothers. And I was like, huh. If I was to hit my brother, would I really knock him, or would I give him some love taps?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just looking at that. Like, black belts, okay, they're gonna hit harder. But it's gonna be a little extra love. Okay, treat it with like a grain of salt. All right.
It's like, I love you so much.
I love you so much, but I got you.
It's okay.
That's just how it is. But I don't know if you wanted to say anything else.
No, I honestly just, some closing remarks basically, and I think we're already doing that. So
yes, pretty much.
Yeah, so those are the subjects I wanted to particularly bring up, just because it came up in my mind, and I know there's probably other people that thought about that. Also, once again, you guys want to hear more about martial arts or takes on it, or even techniques, and I emphasize techniques because I actually have a few ideas on the ways that we could actually explain it.
Ooh.
So if you guys are interested in that, just please let us know. If not, we will talk about other things as well, which we are already planning on. So please let us know, viewers and listeners, what you would like to hear more of. That way we know how to best format our podcast towards you guys. And we're okay with doing 2 different types too. If you want to hear some of this and some of that, we could do both. That's fine.
Yeah, we'll always, but the thing is, we'll always like talk about the subject. Say like, I don't know, say like you want to know about gaming, right?
Yeah.
We're always going to swing that into the martial arts world and how it can always muster in with everything. Because I think martial arts teaches the balance, like everything's equality, everything unifies, you know what I mean? Everything has its own. That's what it's really trying to represent. And I think it's kind of like a third eye kind of opening deal. It's like transcending, oh wow, this makes sense. It's like epiphany, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. But guys, let us know in the comment section on SoundCloud and
Mm-hmm.
YouTube what you would like to hear. If you guys have any questions, please, if it pertains to your own backstory or like something that you're going through, let us know in the comment section. Email us, please. My email will be there in the About section on the channel. And we appreciate you guys coming in. The first episode, you guys went crazy on the views. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Like,
thank you guys.
It means a lot. Episode 5, when we just wanted to update y'all. After episode 5, we'll try to start bringing other people in. So the list will be opening. So you'll be able to hear more people have their own opinions on different things. And that's when new different topics might go into the martial arts world and hearing other pieces from other people. So that's all I got to say. Are you good on everything?
Yeah. And also, if you guys want to add your own experiences, like if you want to tell us, or you want shout outs, you know, if you want anything like where, hey, can you bring this up and can you tell a little bit of my story, anything like that, just let us know. We're more than willing to, you know, I want all of our viewers and listeners to engage with us.
Yes.
It's not just us talking. We want to talk to you and we want to hear from you guys as well.
And hopefully I have a surprise coming next week. It's possible that the third podcast may not have the surprise, but the fourth podcast will. So I'll fill you in on that later. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But thank you guys so much for watching episode 2 of Let's Talk. And I guess we'll see you next time. And we will talk to you all soon. Thank you for watching the podcast. Thank you for watching the video. And I recommend doing both. You get to see both the video version and the audio version, so you get the best of both worlds. All right, guys. Peace out. Love you guys. Stay good.
All right.
See ya.
See you guys.